Welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Today we're going to talk about make a decision. The trucking industry has certainly been challenged over the last 3 or 4 years since the Great Second Depression. It wasn't a recession, it was a depression. We know what happened, we don't have to dwell on what happened, but now it's our time. I've historically said that trucking is a cyclical business. It has its peaks and its valleys. When it has its peaks, it's a great time for most companies. When it has its valleys, it's a very difficult time for many trucking companies. If you can't make money in the trucking industry today, you better give up. And when I say give up your old thought processes and change. Make up your mind that what you've done in the past 5 years isn't going to work today, and it's certainly going to not work in the future. How many times have I said that you need to stay ahead of the curve? You need to constantly change. If you feel comfortable in your environment, you need to break that environment, because you always have to be one step ahead of your competition. Is there a driver shortage? Absolutely. There's a driver famine. There aren't enough drivers, and we have an aging driver population, and we have a lot of people that don't want to come in to the industry because it's a hard job. Think about this. Green Bay, Wisconsin, 50 below zero. You get into a truck and you drive coast to coast to the West Coast. You get to the shipper and the shipper says you need to wait. And that driver has endured some of the worst conditions that a driver could possibly imagine. You or I would not get in that truck, but that driver has a responsibility, a moral responsibility, so he or she gets in that truck, and then that shipper says, by the way, for getting our product to us on a timely basis, you're going to wait, and oh, by the way, that's going to affect your pocketbook. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. The point I'm making, though, is that you need to make a decision. If you're not where you need to be, make a decision. Find someone that's going to help you. We do a lot of operational assessments, and 9 out of 10 times someone will say, well, you know, I've been in trucking my whole life. You've been in trucking your whole life, but you haven't owned a company. You haven't had the risk. And I said, no, I've owned a lot of companies, but no, I have not owned my own trucking company. But I realized that I'm not the smartest spark plug in the engine. But what I did do is I surrounded myself with people that are ex-presidents and CEOs of van companies, flatbed companies, brokerage companies. They retired early, they received their golden parachutes, and they have the battle scars. There's some things that we're all good at, and there's some things that we're not good at. But in the trucking industry, you need someone good in safety and maintenance and cash flow management and operations. You need to treat each truck as a profit center, each driver as a profit center. You need to track your truck productivity daily, your driver productivity daily. You need to track your out-of-service units, because all of that is lost revenue. Well, that's what we do. Yes, we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trucking companies, but we normally prepare people to exit the business at some time in the future by showing them how to increase their shareholder value. Is it me? No. It's the people that I surround myself with. And that's the point I'm making. Don't let your ego get in the way. If you're not where you need to be, make a decision. If you're not where you need to be, it doesn't mean that you're incompetent. It means you need help. And we have a tendency to complicate our business decisions when our business decisions are pretty easy. Trucking's pretty easy. You want to go from point A to point B at the highest possible profit and the lowest possible cost. But we convolute it and make it very complicated. 2, we let our egos get in the way. But if you look at it from a perspective, you go into the hospital, or you go in and you're not feeling good, and the doctor says you have cancer, and we need to cut the cancer out right away. What do you say? Let me think about it and get back to you in 2 years. Of course not. You want the cancer because you want to live. Well, your business is the same way. If you're not where you need to be, and you're frustrated, and you've got all this pressure, and you can't cash flow your business, it's not the time to sell. It's the time to find someone that you can line yourself up with that's going to help you get out of this mess. How many times do you see these infomercials where I lost 200 pounds, or I lost 80 pounds, or I lost 60 pounds? And you say you don't believe those. And yet, if you read them, these are unretouched photos. But what that's saying is those individuals made a commitment to change their destiny. Those individuals looked at themselves in a specific way and said, I'm not happy at where I'm at, I'm going to change it. Well, when you have a business, if you're not where you need to be, then you need to change it. Look at the reality of the situation, look at where you're at, and find a way to solve the problem. If you need help, go get help. Just make sure you get the right help. In other words, don't get a plumber to do your open heart surgery. Don't get an accountant to tell you how to run your trucking company when he's never been in trucking or she's never been in trucking. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that you need to go to the skilled surgeons to cut out the cancer so that you can survive. If you want to sell, don't keep vacillating. First of all, find out what it's worth. Pay someone to tell you not what you want to hear, but what the market's really to do. And a lot of times someone will call me and say, my accountant valued my business at XYZ. And I said, well, how many trucking companies has your accountant sold? And he says, well, none. So he went to the public record access. That is not a good model. We look at 100 transactions a month just to see if they qualify for any of our customers. We've done in excess of 400 plus transactions, large and small. So we know what the market's willing to pay. And most of the time it's never going to reach your expectations. But the point is, you need to make a decision. If you're not where you need to be, it's not the time to sell. If you're not where you need to be but you want to sell, it's the time to fix the challenge and then sell. So in closing, what I want to do is leave you with a thought, and it's make a decision. And make a decision that you feel in your gut is the right decision. But don't run away from the problem. Don't stick your head in the sand. Don't think everything's going to change just because in the old days you could work real hard and work yourself out of it. We're in a very dynamic business. We're in a very technologically advanced business. We're in a very controlled environment with CSA and hours of service, and it's going to get worse. You still have advocates that want to bring down the hours of service to 10 hours. And recognize if somebody tells you something and they're trying to help you, don't take it offensively. Take it constructively. There's no easy way to say you have cancer. There's no easy way to say that you need to change your lifestyle. But it needs to be said if you're going to overcome your challenges. Until next time, thank you for attending the podcast.